Rocket League esports is full of duos, the backbone of many of the greatest teams of all time. The likes of Garrett G and Justin, J-Nats in Chicago.
Seems like the start of every game, something goes wrong defensively for Complexity, and then they turn it around. Here comes another one. J-Nat surely putting that one away.
K-Dop in Fairy Peak.
Norris, he's by one, but K-Dop's already back. And pitches it down the field again. Already down for this. It's Fairy Peak, and it's in! Fairy Peak scores!
First Cow and his dad dominated their region of Rocket League esports. This is the same for Matthew and LCT, and this is their story.
Every single player on the pitch, because if you do not, you will be exposed exactly like that.
LCT double!
Exposure! LCT!
Matthew and LCT have been a duo together since October 2020, and right off the bat, they were not to be messed with.
And they're quickly there waiting for the ball. There's no chance of finding it of LCT rushing by. Up he goes once again.
So
it might
quick.
be a chance of the backboard. Oh, what a shot it was. LCT, he ties up the game in incredible fashion.
These two individuals were already some of the hottest commodities in APAC well before RLCS even began, and for many people, they were lucky to get to team with them.
Had to make the comeback. That's when he struggled the most.
what a
We've seen
touch.
them kind of face that comeback issue already, but now
He's
the
a
lead
god.
is here, and Maxu is incredible.
Then came the biggest day ever for Asian Rocket League. September 15th, 2021. An announcement was made that was going to shake up the whole region. APAC is now in the RLCS. The Asian community, elated with joy, were ready to get to work. At this time the region was split. APAC North, Japan and South Korea, and APAC South, literally everywhere else. Maxu, LCT, and at the time their teammate Boggarees would fall into this category. The season began, and for this trio, it was over in a flash. Losing only one series, all split, they won every single regional with ease. They had lived up to their expectation and had a massive target on their back. They had one last foe to beat. To become the first Asian team to make it to the major, defeat Realize and the rest of Tokyo Verde. There could never be a story about APAC where Realize is not involved. The proverbial godfather of APAC, at his very worst, he was still feared by everybody in the region.
Looking good, but for how long? Realize doesn't like this story. He's changing it up. 30 left on the clock, boys. Still tons of time to come back into this. For me, I don't want to see AHA get overconfident because Realize is going to get aggressive. He is probably angered right now.
Although they had a nail-biting Game 5 loss in the upper bracket finals, when the team came to face Realize again, it wasn't close. A 4-0 battering meant that Tokyo Verde would be the first APAC team going to the major, and Gladiators left in second place.
Can't realise when the stall was on time. Ball reads the last man back for a moment. Maxu has to rush for the ball, but he cannot make it in time. Realize, but 4 seconds on the clock. Makes it one apiece.
Oh, Slam. They have one last chance, but Tenho doesn't want to give it to him. Look at him slow the ball down. Tokyo 30. They can taste it. They're 1 second away. All they do is hit the ground. And Tokyo 30, after 5 long years, blood, sweat, tears, they are off to the international. They're off to Sweden.
Remember what I said. This story is about the duo of Matthew and LCT. They may have won every RLCS event except the major qualifier, but that was not enough for them. With Boggarees having military obligations, it was the perfect time for a change. There's a player in APAC who less will know about now, but was instrumental in making the APAC scene what it is today. That player is Chaotic. Attempt number 2 for the Irish and Indonesian duo. In a moment of need for improvement, they do what any Rocket League team wants to do. They picked up a French player. I know this is really confusing. They're all Asian. You've got to trust me on this. Irish, French, they are also Asian. Don't worry about it. Chaotic in his prime was a top contender in APAC. All the way back in 2019, he was still at the top of his game. a contender against the likes of Realize and whoever he would choose to team with in each tournament, and a team by the name of Tech Warriors who, for those who know your history, would later become the original Sandrock Gaming roster. All this said, Chaotic was an excellent player, and being disappointed having 3 third place finishes in a row, he decided it was time to move on and try things out with the power couple of APAC. This new trio were formed the Free Rats name and got to work. Once again, this team were the targets. Everyone in APAC South wanted to take them down and take the throne, but when you have the power couple of LCT and Maxio against you, winning can seem next to impossible.
He saves it! Pitch! Oh! 191. What the fuck? What the fuck? Holy sand!
During the winter split, the Free Rats lost a grand total of 0 series to APAC South teams, 1 less than they lost in the previous fall split. Things were looking great for the somehow improved team. Who knew you could get better than losing 1 series over 3 events? Then came a familiar place to them, the APAC Major Qualifier, a place where their hearts were broken before by Realize himself. Would it be any different this time? The now Gladiators team, they changed name a lot, I promise this is the last time, enter the arena. To face a foe not expected, Detonator. I could write a whole other documentary on the history of this Detonator team and the crazy things they have done, but that's for another time. An early win for Gladiators is all that matters here. On to the upper final they go. Once again, who's there waiting for them? Of course it is Tokyo Verde. A familiar and terrifying face. History seems to repeat. Another incredibly close Game 5 loss, this time a reverse sweep, send Gladiator to the lower bracket. There is hope though for the Gladiators, as they have to face a team who they've already beaten, Detonator. But Detonator weren't here to play around. After the series became 2-1 in Gladiator's favour, something switched, and Detonator took control. Game 4, 6-1. Game 5, 5-3. The Gladiators were eliminated, and would once again not be making the major. Another loss where it mattered most. Maxio and LCT, feeling crushed, decided that all they could do is what they do best, kick their incredible third for someone new. This time, entering the story is Abs Crazy. The best player from India and the best non-Gladiators player last split. To fit into this duo can be an incredibly hard task. Everything so formulated and set out, it may seem suffocating at times being that third man, and initially, Abs Crazy certainly did struggle. Team with Maxio and LCT, how is that going for you then with these two top players of APAC South by your side? You've called them out before saying you were going to beat them, you've joined them now and you're just winning together, so here it is.
Well, if you can't beat them, join them.
The first event of the spring split, a massive, intense, double elimination bracket, no special formats to save you, it is just pure Rocket League and you have to win. For once though, Gladiators didn't win. Instead, a loss in the grand finals to former teammate Baller Reese knocked the undefeated duo down a peg. Finally, they had lost the regional.
Gex, we're at the front row of watching history. We can write this down and they will have source records of it.
Goodness.
3-minute 48 and everybody watching back at home. This would be a story to tell your kids, your grandkids and 20 generations after that.
Questions started to arise about the team. Was Abs Crazy the right choice? Are Gladiators going to be able to bounce back? Of course they were. The next 2 regionals were won by Gladiators with relative ease. They coasted through and once again ended this split with the highest points total in APAC South, where, once again, they made it to the major playoffs. This was the worst set of results Gladiators has had before entering the major playoffs this season, but they weren't going to let that deter them. Over on the other side of APAC, Tokyo Verde had an even worse season considering their dominance before, coming second to the previous major qualifiers of Detonator.
中に35秒バンが持っていくリセットも入ったダブルここに来て最後はこれだこれが日本の新たなるナンバーワンプレイヤーバーンの姿だ
For Gladiators, it was time for revenge. For once they were able to win their upper bracket match, this time in a Game 7 victory. They waited in the grand finals for their opponent, feeling confident, perhaps because of the extra life they received, but also worried because both of the remaining teams had ruined their major chances before. To the grand finals go Detonator. There was no Realize to ruin the fun for Gladiators this time. Instead, the best player this split, Burn, the young prodigy Lunatic, and Mikan, a Rock who has years and years of tenure and experience in APAC. This was going to be the last chance for Gladiators this season. The series begins, and it starts to look dire for Gladiators. A 4-1 win for Detonator in the first best of 7 means that Gladiators' extra life has been taken away. An incredibly strong win from Detonator put the momentum on their side.
Follow up, it's met by yet another 50. And I think we're going to be met with an overtime.
Are we? Are we?
Burn finds the 0-second goal and Detonator take the lead in the series. I'm just going to let us sit here in silence for a second. Everybody can take in what just happened there. And, well, Detonator, maybe you'll get some revenge.
McCon?
McCon with a musty into the top left. You know what? Doesn't matter if you hit the open, if you miss the open net. You can just stunt like this. What?
Series 2 comes around and they start to trade games back and forth. Game 1 goes to Detonator. Game 2 to Gladiators. This continues and continues. No team can break the deadlock. Then comes Game 6. Currently 3-2 in favour of Detonator, Gladiator cannot afford another mistake. 6-2. Domination. They head to Game 7 head high, and they do it. A 2-1 victory. Gladiators finally make the major.
The patient game, it doesn't work. LCT does lose out to Lunatic, however, who's going to try to stay with this play. Gets it around Maxu. Ball back towards the middle of the field. Off the ceiling, makes it an awkward read. Burn still will get there. Still through the corner. Abs crazy. Awkward spot. Maxu clears it through.
Oh, it feels like at this point, it's going to be the team that makes the mistake first. We've seen so many chances on offense. No one's been able to convert, whether that being defensive outstanding plays or it's been these misses on offense. I don't know what's going to give, but it feels like the next team that does will be the one to take it. 30 seconds
that
left.
Could be it.
That's an open net, and Maxi will drill the top left. Under a half a minute to play, and Gladiators will take the lead.
Detonator triple commit to the left side of the field. Only Burn was fast enough to realize what had happened, but by then it was too late. A pass back to the center gets the Gladiators out in front, and these three rats are 30 seconds away from going to their first international event.
Unfortunately for Gladiators, the major didn't go the best. 0-6 in games, only 2 goals scored all event. They head back home, winning nothing but gaining mountains of experience. They head to Worlds where, unfortunately, due to visa issues, Abs Crazy couldn't make it. They head to Dallas playing with their sub-commutator. They go 1-12 in games and 0-3 in series. Eliminated, only getting one individual win.
Out to full force. Nice misdirection from Skill Steals. Felt LCT coming, the physicality! The bread and butter is what's going to close it out. The shot to the back post, LCT.
The strive for success continued in LCT and Maxju. Making it to the major, making it to Worlds, it was still not enough for them. They wanted more. Maybe that drive for success was a massive positive, or maybe if they spent more time working as a 3-man roster with an established player, they would have improved. But either way, they made the decision, and Abs Crazy was gone. After Abs Crazy was removed from the roster, a tournament popped up. There'd been no mention, no announcement on who Gladiators' third will be, but still, they enter. Gamers 8, an accumulation of all the main Rocket League game modes, 1s, 2s, and of course 3s. But who did they play with? Well, There's someone I've been neglecting to mention in this story. The Gladiators coach, OSM. Both an incredible freestyler and a great 1v1 mastermind, OSM never really made a massive attempt at the pro 3v3 scene for Rocket League. But without a third player, it was all the choice the Gladiators had, and hey, having one of the best wonder players of all time in your team is definitely going to help with the 1v1 portion of the tournament. Gladiators arrived at the tournament and, although ending in the bottom portion of placements, still gave a very pleasant surprise. Not only were defending wins in the 1v1 portion of the event, but so too were they in the 3v3. Of course, OSM lives in Iceland and this is just a one-off event with him stepping in, so obviously it won't have many implications on next season, but winning 3v3s against OCE's Renegades was nothing to scoff at.
On that side, just needs to get this central. CJ shies away from that ball, and Game In Gladiators able to take down the #1 OCE team in 3v3. A historic moment here at Gamers 8.
As the players head back to Asia, an announcement is made. For the RLCS 2022-23 season, APAC will be merged. Pandemonium hits. The best of the best get to face off in every regional, a viewer's dream. The improvement that will come, the new teams that could be made. There's so much potential for APAC in the next season. But what happens to Gladiators? Who do they pick up as their third? Well, you'll have to forgive me, as I might have lied to you all. See, OSM and the results at Gamers 8 were going to have an implication after all, as OSM retired from coaching and instead set his sights to playing. One plane ride later, Gladiators have their new third. None other than their ex-coach, OSM. This season was going to be harder than ever before. The previous troublemakers of APAC South are still at the top. The previous top teams of the North will finally have to be beaten in the regionals. And last, but certainly not least, the most challenging team of them all, James Cheese. Former Endpoint player Virtuoso, joined by 4th place at RLCS Worlds Kami, rounded off by the best Asian player in Realize. This team was terrifying, for a really, really good reason. If you remember back to how I described the dominance of Gladiators in APAC South, multiply that by 100, and you get the fall split for James Cheese. Throughout the whole fall split, James Cheese only lost 6 individual games of Rocket League. No one was close to them, and they punched their ticket to the major with ease.
Asterisks up there, because how can anyone take down this? This is scary.
They are a terrifying team. Here's Realize now with the pass out to Kami. That's a great shot. Kami, oh my goodness! Oh, he popped up. You can see Virtuoso, hands on head. Realize it laughing, and Kami, that's a beauty.
But this story isn't about them. What about Gladiators? How did they do? Well, it wasn't the best, but also not the worst. Teams such as Detonator and Tough Love were making things even harder than Gladiators originally hoped for. With a top 4 finish, a top 2, and a top 8, they were very much within the conversation for second best in the region. The issue for them was, they weren't the best.
Furlash, they feel that they've won this game already. You can see it in their gameplay. They're happy about it. And Sagos might have just secured it with goal number 3 for Lycus Empire.
Oh, beautiful one. Oh, that was a slippery set. Sigums.
As we approach closer to the present day, we reach the winter split. Gladiators had an incredible first regional, and for the first time ever, LCT and Matthew decided to keep a teammate longer than one split, so the team remained with OSM as their third. The biggest surprise of the first regional was that James Cheese, who are now called Elevate, didn't win. Instead, winning the event was Detonator, but since they were able to beat Elevate in the semi-final, it meant that Gladiators were able to sneak in and secure themselves a great second place finish, beating out Elevate.
Countdown. They've got to find gold. This is knocked off towards the side. McCann brings it into a dribble against OSM. Ball is up in the air. Lunatic is in the curvature. Anyone going to be able to get to this? Max, you can keep it high. Over towards OSM. We do have McCann taking this away. Burn with a clearance. This should hit the wall, and then the ground doesn't even reach the wall. Detonator are your Winter Open champions.
Then comes regional number 2. Elevate are back on their feet playing incredible Rocket League once again, but Gladiators remain persistent. Although getting second place in their group losing to Decimate, they keep working hard and almost sweep through the whole bracket, only losing to Elevate in the finals. This leaves things in a very interesting situation. As only one team is able to make the major, it all comes down to overall points in the split. And at this time, Gladiators were tied in first with Elevate. It's all going to come down to the final regional. OSM at this point has become a staple of the team. A team often described as mismatched and suffocating for any third that joins them has been revitalised to a quick, team-working, goal-scoring machine. OSM joined this team with very little of Freed's background, and he used his experience as a coach expertly. But of course, the onus could not be placed on OSM to be the coach anymore, and as I neglected to mention, a new coach was brought in to help out. None other than former world champion Marky Duda. Nevertheless, the final regional. It all comes down to this. With 4 teams with realistic chances to make the major, the best chances lying with Gladiators and Elevate, the conditions are simple. If one of these 2 teams win the event, they make the major. Gladiators and Elevate both start the regional at the top of their game. Group stage, easy for them. 9-1 in games for Elevate, 9-2 in games for Gladiators. Both of these teams are fighting intensely to make that major. All the pressure is on Elevate. The whole Rocket League esports world expects them to make it. They are the Asian super team, and they should be unstoppable. The grand finals come, and it couldn't be in a more poetic way. The rest of the players were easy for Elevate, 0 games lost. For Gladiators, only 1 game lost. Now, in the grand final, the most simple of scenarios. The winner makes the major. Gladiators already have 2 second place finishes under their belt. Many look on expecting to see a third. The series began, and hope starts to fade. 3-1 for Elevate. They were going to make the major again. But something clicked for Gladiators at Game 5. I can't tell you what it was. Maybe Marky's coaching was enough to push them through. Maybe, by pure determination, they were able to keep winning games to send the series to Game 7. Or maybe they were just better.
Elevate with an uber-aggressive, super physical playstyle, and Gladiators trying to finally flex those mechanics that we saw before! And it will work out! OSM credited with a goal, but it is Maxu, not just heavy lifting, pulling all the muscle any way that he would like. And now Virtuoso doing a little bit of bumping out of midfield and kind of getting a decent touch. Could have had a problem if not for LCT. Sees 2 bites and knows I'm faster, I'm better, and I'm sending us to Game 7.
LCT with a bump and a shot out of nowhere secures the only unassisted goal for Gladiators in the entire... And one last chance to deny them from Elevate. They need a goal right this second though. 0 seconds on the dot and it will be brought to ground. Gladiators are taking us the distance. It's Game 7 in your grand final.
So many times throughout this duo's history have they missed out in the major, lost an important series to a Game 5 or Game 7 decider. But as the cards dropped to the ground, something felt different. Confidence exuded from the players in the gameplay they were presenting. They weren't scared. They had no reason to be scared. The pressure was on Elevate, and Gladiators came to capitalise. A multitude of chances come for Elevate, all denied by Gladiators. You could hear a pin drop with how intense this final game was. Then, at the halfway mark, OSM and his 1v1 talents put Gladiators into the lead.
Maxu getting bumped could cause some problems if not for OSM. There's the team cohesion that we've been asking for and getting shown yet again. A back pass that doesn't take anybody by surprise, but OSM takes Kami with a bully. My goodness, just muscles his way past and says, get out of my way, I'm getting a goal.
Half the game to go. Gladiators 1-0 up. They are half a game away from doing what was thought to be impossible and taking down Elevate and making it to the major. As a minute falls by, so many chances are denied on either side. It feels almost perfect, with a dim from LCT and a back pass to Maxu. With 100 seconds left to go, the score is made 2-0.
Right now, it's OSM meeting up and another bump. It will not be a goal found. The communication not quite perfect, but the chances are there, and Gladiators are the ones consistently making the most promising ones. It's another one. It's away. Maxiu is going to take goal number 2.
Maxu, a name we haven't called nearly enough, but when the time is right, he will shine. A beat out at midfield and Elevate, trying to do whatever they can to slow the momentum of Gladiators.
At this point, it doesn't feel real. The clock ticks down in what feels like slow motion for everyone waiting for Gladiators to be declared the winner. Elevate tried, and tried, and tried some more. But sometimes, the Goliath must fall, and the Gladiators take victory. Euphoria fills the Gladiator team, and for good reason. They took down the toughest competition that Asia has ever had to offer.
Lewis, stay back. Lewis, stay back.
I'm stay back.
Stay back. I go first. Yeah, waiting.
Let's fucking go! Let's go!
We fucking did it!
Let's go!
Yes! Let's fucking go!
Come on!
We did it! Oh my fucking god, we fucking did it!
Oh, come on!
We fucking did it, boys! We fucking did it! Oh my god!
Let's go!
Oh my god!
Ah, yes, come on!
And that brings us to present day. Awaiting the major beginning, Gladiators head to NA to boot camp and practice, and the rest of us wait, tentatively, to see what they can do at the major. The duo of LCT and Maxu has always been good. They've even been great. But finally they can say, they are the best in their region without a doubt. The best duo APAC has ever produced, with an amazing third who was able to facilitate them and their skills in the best way possible. I expected a lot of great things from Gladiators, and no matter the result at the major, they are never going to be a team to be messed with.